Hello everyone, my name is Andaris Hertiar of Institut Teknologi Bandung, and today I will present to you my paper called The Impact of Collaboration Between McDonald's and BTS on Indonesia's Generation Z. Here are my contents of the presentation that I will go through today. The band that is formed in 2013 made a huge impact through the collaboration with McDonald's in 9 June 2021. McDonald's in Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia, had to close 32 branches because of the effect caused by the collaboration. During the times of COVID-19, delivery services were used and some drivers reported that they had to wait for more than 2 hours to collect their orders. How can a meal consisting of 10 chicken nuggets, chips, Coke, and 2 sauces made such an enormous difference to the demand of McDonald's to the point of shutting down branches because of high orders? To know the situation of the matter, we must first know the background of the celebrity that is endorsing McDonald's. BTS is one of the most recognized South Korean boy band. 50.31% of its fan base is under the age of 18 and 42.59% of its fan base is in the age of 18 and 29. Those who is born between 1995 and 2010 are referred to as Generation Z. McDonald's consumers are already in the demographics of BTS fan base, so it is safe to say that the majority of their fan base are Generation Z. This research will assess the influencing factors of this phenomenon and help marketeers understand an effective celebrity endorsement strategy. Hence, these research questions and objectives were made. Here are the 4 main literatures that will be the foundation to my research, namely fandom, celebrity endorsement, Generation Z, and customer loyalty. Studying Gen Z of Indonesia is crucial as they are becoming the standard consumer behavior for marketers in the near future. Even though the concepts have a strong relationship and complement each other, the studies never suggest which concept has the bigger influence. Consequently, this paper will study which concept has the largest influence on Gen Z in their behavior of buying a product, particularly in the BTS meal. These are the hypotheses that I have constructed, and next to it is the framework model from a research by John from 2015 about path analysis, a regression analysis that I will further elaborate in this slide about methodology. This research will be approached deductively. This means that this research will construct accepted hypotheses by analyzing sets of data. The influencing factors in the data is related to consumer buying decision behavior, which is buying BTS meal. Consumer loyalty, role model, and perceptions are influencing factors. X1 and X2 will act as the independent variable, Y as the intervening variable, and Z will act as the independent variable. Particularly focusing on Generation Z, the process will determine whether the consumer that was influenced is a fan of BTS, a loyal customer of McDonald's, both a fan and a loyal customer, or neither. This variable will then be processed through path analysis, which is a form of multiple regression analysis to estimate the impact of one variable to another. Primary data will collected with a self-administered questionnaires. The questionnaires will be an online platform using Google Form and distributed through a non-probability sampling known as snowball sampling. The initial study subject will participate in the survey and identify further respondents. In order to process the result quantitatively, the questionnaire will be based on Likert scale to calculate the responders' preference. To minimize sampling errors, the sample will be required to have a minimum of 50 respondents. Ultimately, the numerical data will be analyzed using IBM SPSS Statistical Analysis 27 to find the relationship between variables. There are a number of advantages to this sampling method. To further explain the reasoning behind choosing the method, by using a snowball sampling, the initial subject or representative will sample the characteristic and population targeted by the researcher, making the sample data valid to be used. Moreover, the nature of the method, which has no requirements to provide a name or identity, gives potential participants little to no worry to fill their questionnaires. This method also benefits the researcher to save time and resources. The efficient and low-risk nature of the online-based questionnaires also adds to this factor. Considering ethical solution and preventing language barriers, the introduction, questions, and the answers are written in Indonesian language to prevent misunderstanding, as the demographics of this research is in Indonesia. The first section is about consent and criteria checking. Participants were educated that the data obtained from this questionnaire is for the purpose of university project, and then the data will be destroyed after. The next section of the questionnaire is a statement that the participants have to agree to. The statement is about I have bought and consumed the BTS meal in Indonesian language. Therefore, everyone who filled this form falls on the category of the targeted sample. The question will be divided into 4 sections according to the variables that I will be accounted for in this research: customer loyalty, role model, perception, and buying BTS meal. Those 4 sections will act as the composite variable. The questions are calculated using the Likert scale of 1 to 5. 1 strongly disagree, and then 5 strongly agree. Although external variables may exist, these variables were selected through the consideration of previous research and literature review. The variables are constructed from data produced by participants' answers when filling the questionnaires. As has been described, the questionnaires contains 4 questions for each variable, therefore generating 4 composite variables to represent customer loyalty, role model, perception, and buying BTS meal. Finally, the composite variable is ready to be processed using the analysis method in SPSS. Numerous tests were used before conducting the regression analysis. 56 respondents have completed and submitted the questionnaires. This table is statistical description containing the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum of the composite variable that will be further elaborated. A composite variable is a variable that consists of 2 or more measures that are highly related to each other, conceptually or statistically. It is a result of finding the mean of each of the questionnaire section for each of the respondents' response, therefore resulting 4 composite variables for 4 variables that is being studied correspondingly. Validity and reliability refer to the extent of enhancing the quality of the research, normally achieved for quantitative research. The variables are checked for consistency. It is measured using composite reliability and Cronbach's alpha. Convergent validity is also computed using average variance extracted. After calculating using the formula, the results are showing that AVE is higher than 0.5 and the CR is higher than 0.6. That means the convergent validity is moderate. Next is the Cronbach's alpha testing. Reliability statistic data in the table on the bottom right are computed using reliability analysis tool in SPSS. The results show well in reliability since Cronbach's alpha is larger than 0.6. Normality tests of the variables are processed to check whether the data is normally distributed or not. The normality test is needed to determine whether to use parametric or non-parametric tests while performing a bivariate correlation analysis. The results generated from SPSS shows difference between the tests. Therefore, the Chaparral test will be taken into account since it is the more powerful normality test. The last test before the regression analysis is the variable will be tested for the relationship between them in no particular order. This test is to further understand the effect of each variable on each other. Due to the data not being normally distributed, The method used in this research is the Spearman correlation coefficient as opposed to the Pearson correlation. The significant two-tailed, which is the p-value that is below 0.5, is considered significant. This means only role model and perception has positive correlation with buying BTS meal. After understanding the relationship between the variables, regression analysis will be executed. Path regression analysis in particular does not have a single straightforward step. It requires a multiple linear regression test since the framework has an intervening variable. If we take a look at the R-square value in the model summary table, we can infer that 48% of the variance is explained by the model. In another table, the significant value is lower than 0.05, means that the predictors have a significant effect to the dependent variable. The tolerance and the VIF value are acceptable, and we can conclude that only role model is significant, thus have a biggest effect on the dependent variable. If we take a look at the second R-square value in the model summary table, we can infer that 71% of the variance is explained by the model. In ANOVA table, the significant value is lower than 0.05, means that the predictors have a significant effect on the dependent variable. The tolerance and the VIF value are adequate, and we can conclude that the perception have the biggest effect on the dependent variable by looking at the beta value in the standardized coefficient section. After all the calculation, I added all the corresponding values to the framework as shown in this slide. In this discussion slide, I will further elaborate the framework with the value. As you can see, these are all the accepted hypotheses resulted through the calculations. We can see that perception has a large effect on buying BTS meal. However, role model have direct and indirect effect on the dependent variable. Hence, it is the largest influence of all. McDonald's has executed the strategy very well, knowing that the demographics of BTS fanbase is aligned with the targeted consumers of McDonald's. Values of celebrity, values of the brand, and values of customers are key points that should be taken into account since aligning those have an impactful result on the success of the strategy. However, this research has some limitations. Because of the nature of the sampling method, the initial study subject might choose a homogeneous behavior on the next participant. Choosing a sociable individual could resolve the problem as they have higher chance to select an individual that varies in behavior. Path analysis as well as other regression analysis have collinearity issues. It can make a calculation path coefficient less precise and create errors. Therefore, to minimize this risk, all VIF should be lower than 10. Moreover, using this method have numerous assumptions and requirements to abide to. In conclusion, marketing practitioners or companies in Indonesia should examine the celebrity if they were to implement a celebrity endorsement strategy towards Indonesia's Generation Z. The fans' demographics and the individual's value should be taken into account, since it could affect the performance of the strategy. Companies should reflect on their brand's value, which is an important aspect to consider. The celebrity value can be manifested in the brand. Therefore, aligning the values of both the celebrity and the brand is key to successful celebrity endorsement strategy towards Indonesia's Generation Z. Further research is still needed to describe the reasoning behind the ineffectiveness of customer loyalty, which cannot be drawn in this research. Moreover, further research on the demographics can be done. Although the majority of people was intrigued by the collaboration word the Generation Z of Indonesia, it does not hide the fact that demographics on other than Generation Z in Indonesia were also affected by the collaboration, which made their decision of purchasing the BTS meal. Thank you for listening. I'm Andaris Hertiar, and I'm looking forward if you have any questions.